So in the realm of artists getting caught using AI, where I'll start with this is I was telling you about digital fingerprinting. So if you're using Udio in particular, but you know what? This isn't the first and last platform by any means, but Udio just partnered with Audible Magic. And so what happens is that if you're making music on Udio's platform, then you get this ID added into your music the second you make it. So as soon as you've actually created the music, there is this glorified barcode put into your music. And the reason why that matters is because from just a transparency, privacy kind of standpoint, I go, well, what if you don't want someone tracking your stuff? There's someone now tracking your music. Or what if you were just using the platform for inspiration? What if you were just using it to get ideas on melodies, right? And so you end up creating or recreating this song. What kind of conflict is that going to create later on when you release your song that actually isn't from the Suno platform? There's a lot of things that we're considering, but I go, what we do know is that there's this platform called Deezer. And Deezer, similar to like Spotify, is a streaming platform, and they will identify when something is made with AI. And so in the realm of you essentially just being disclosed as an AI music creator, how do you guys feel about that? So in that realm, today we're talking about how Kesha had this artwork for her single Delusional. And she kind of suffered through some criticism because her fans identified that this cover art was actually made with AI. For a time, she didn't really respond to it. She didn't do anything about it. But I go, this is a big name that's dealing with what I've been talking about, which is I don't care what level you're at. If you're using AI in any kind of way in your creative process and someone says, hey, you used stuff in your creative or used AI in your creative process, is that a problem for you? With Kesha's situation, like I said, the single Delusional, it was issued and she got some pretty bad backlash from people just being like, this isn't cool. And she seemed to really take this to heart. And let's talk about, basically what would you do in this situation? Because she goes, well, look, I was trying to make the point that we live in this world that's so delusional where everyone is expecting creatives to keep making music. And yet we are underpaid, we are underappreciated. And so she goes, she likes the AI aspect of it because it reinforces the message. But with some of the pushback, she's like, but I felt like it kind of pushed up against my integrity. So she ended up replacing it with a different photo. So what do you think about this?
It kind of looks obviously done with AI, and the backlash on here was just insane. Girl, a selfie would have been better than AI art. Kesha, we love you, but why AI? I mean, this goes on, is this AI? Excited for this, but AI. And the backlash was just like insane. She updated it to this cover art, which, just a photo. Now, let's go back to this really quick. I had a thought on it too. Her song is called Delusional, right? And I kind of like the explanation of using AI as kind of like a marketing thing. I'm giving you an AI artwork for a song that's called Delusional. Now, I don't know what the song is about, whatever, but nonetheless, I think she could have rode with that. I think she could have stuck behind that. They were excited over the new artwork on the comments that she's doing it. They like it way better. AI found dead. Yes, I love this. But we're finding that other artists are comfortable, are using AI. And we have the Gin Blossoms here. They released this photo a couple of days ago. There's a couple people on there that say, guys, we're not using AI art. Bands posting AI is insane. There's quite a few comments. And then we also have the Dropkick Murphys, who limited their comments on here, but they also provided some AI art. They had a little bit of backlash, but AI is anti-punk. But again, we're not going to see them all because they have been limited. And then, of course, we have the Butthole Surfers, another like legacy act. They made this cover with AI. And let's see what the comments were on there. I would have done the cover for free. AI. Why not? Why use AI as an artist? I only bring these other examples up is because these are more established bands that have been around. So their fan base has been listening to music for a lot longer. A lot of these fan bases are used to going to getting magazines to learn about them instead of social media. Their fans are probably, not super social media active. I'm just assuming just based on when these bands were, kind of at their peaks and stuff. And not that they're not still doing their thing, obviously, but, respectfully. And I think that might have a difference. But I also, know from just the community of our comments that a lot of people are using AI. They're using it, either as Suno, they're using it for artwork, and they don't have a problem. And I feel like younger bands are going to have less of a problem with it as the younger generation is fine with it. But I think when older bands or more legacy bands or of a certain age, we'll just say, I think they're going to have a harder time backlash with their fans. And so I want to pose that to you guys as the viewers. What do you think?
And then on the flip side, guys, what you need to keep in mind is that if you are going to use AI for your cover art in particular, we talk about it with music, but every piece that you make you may or may not own it. Okay, so on the legal side of this, and I summarize everything in my legal guide to AI music, you can download that. I'll put the link in the description below for you. But in any case, you have to think, are you okay to use it from the platform you created it from? That's in the terms of service. But then also remember, you probably are not going to have copyright protection. That's so important. If you put in prompts and you created the cover art, then you don't own that under copyright law in order to enforce it. And so it's just kind of like if you ever intend on selling your music, if you intend on selling your music videos, your songs, if it's fully made with AI, it could be a problem because it's less valuable. The copyright in the music and the artwork is a really big part of what makes what you create valuable. So you need to think about that as far as like the long-term plan of what you're doing.
As a musician, cover art is not as essential as the music itself. So either way, I could see that point from just like, let's say if I decided to just get into that, right? I'm used to just making the cover art. I'm used to getting the pictures and designing the cover art and sitting in Photoshop and just designing all that stuff. And I don't get paid for that because I'm doing it myself. I'm not taking a job away from a cover artist or another artist by using AI if I chose to use it. If I did, I could see that argument. It's just like, I don't really care if I'm one of those artists. I just care about the music. But there's a lot of artists out there that do care about the art. They do care about their aesthetic. They do care about all these things. And, sometimes AI can help them get it there. So I think that's interesting, but it also feels kind of, I don't care because it doesn't necessarily affect me too deep. The generation is coming that won't know anything about AI, but will find human creations as inferior. That's the way of the world. And that's my fear. Keep reading headlines about how they want to start kids learning AI in schools and learning how to utilize it and technology and just training them right away. This is just a fact of life. I mean, the people that are the angriest have been on this planet longer, so they remember a time where it wasn't like that. Whereas the new generations, like I said, I don't think they care. And I think that's why we're going to see Kesha still getting backlash. I think that's why we're going to see some of these other Dropkick Murphys or just any of these other bands that are going to get legacy acts. But I think the younger bands are going to have a less of a hard time going with it. But it's something that you have to consider when you do release this stuff and just waiting to get called out.
Something to think about when artists are getting caught using AI art, and if that's something you care about, leave a comment down below. See you on the next one.